This is Danny with QuadLugs, and we're going to be setting up the CC3D on the 250 rail. So with any of the CC3D controllers that I've installed so far, into the QuadLugs, I've set them all up pretty much this way. You can do special tuning with it, if you want, and obviously you will. They'll set it up the way you want it to fly. So I'm going to give you the way that I do it, and obviously as you go through it and fly it, you'll tweak it however you want. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. We're going to do, the simple vehicle setup, the wizard. Okay. And let me go ahead and get it plugged in. And I have all the props off, so please make sure and take them all off. We don't want them on. So before I go further with this, let me just let me just take a quick look here. Okay, we're moving around. Okay, good. So let me go to setup, and we'll go ahead and do upgrade. I'll give you the link to download LibrePilot, and I'll put that in the description. So we're waiting for it to do its deal, and in a second it'll tell us to move forward or next. You might get this sometimes, don't worry about it. We're getting, some of the lights here being populated, telling it's working. Okay, now it says go to next. This is pretty much, you can go ahead and read all of these, but, and please do. Just, pretty much is just telling us here that what we're using. Just let it do its thing. Okay, it's going to want to know which receiver that you're using, and we're going to be using a Spectrum satellite, so we're going to pick this one. And this is where you have all the wiring when you're going to put separate channel wiring, and this is one line to feed all of it, and of course your S bus here. But we're going to be using the satellite. We're going to go to next. Use a multi-rotor, and this pretty much tells us 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the front, so it's flying this way. Quad X. We're going to use rapid ESCs. Now this is kind of cool because it's going to give you a wiring diagram. Okay. And there's the Spectrum tied in, the satellite rather. It's on 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can print this also if you want it for yourself or to show someone else. It's kind of cool. You can do that. This pretty much gives just a recap of what you're doing here, or what you've picked so far. Now here we're going to calculate, and you can read this here, of course, read them all, but this is going to give you tell the controller what's level. So now you want to make sure that your quad is sitting level. So just let it sit level rather, and don't touch it. Done. Next. Okay, here you can read this over, but make sure the props are off. And we already talked about that, but please make sure they're off. And we're going to check these 3 items off. Then when we hit start, we're going to want to plug it in. And then when it plugs in, or after you have it plugged in, rather, you're going to hear a beep, and then you'll hit stop, and then it'll finish the tones, and it would have calibrated the ESC. Okay, we're going to go ahead and check these off. We're going to press start. You should already have your battery ready. We're plugging it in. Now we'll hit stop. Okay, now we'll unplug it. And we should be calibrated. So let's go to next. Okay, we're going to move forward, read this, again the props. Now this is where we're going to check each motor and check for rotation and make sure the motor is in the proper place. So that it's rotating or running in the proper place. So we're going to plug it back in. And we'll hit start. And I'm going to set the battery down here. This is the front. This is the back. So it's flying this way. So the front, this motor 1, 2, 3, 4. So this one should be spinning first. Okay. It is spinning. This motor is the one that's spinning. And the rotation is turning counterclockwise, so it's wrong. Okay. So I'm going to just unplug any 2 wires. Or, any 2 of the 3 and switch them. So you have the 3 wires that, connect to the motor. We're going to unplug 2 of the 3, switch them, and plug it back in. Okay. Now we're going to try it again. Okay, again, it is indeed number 1, and it's turning clockwise. Then we want to set this to where it's turning, but not, hesitating. We want a constant turn, and we look good right there. Okay, we're going to stop it. We're going to go to the next one. Now it's going to tell us this one is the one we want. Remember again, this is the front, and this is the back. Okay. This is indeed motor number 2. And we want this is turning counterclockwise, so we're in good shape. So we're going to slow it down. That's good. We're going to hit stop. Go to the next one. We want this motor here. Again, front, back. So it's the back right motor. Now, whenever I plugged these motors into the controller, I knew motor number 1, so I plugged it in, and then I plugged the other 3 in, and I'm double checking that I have the right motors. So if there's a motor in a wrong location control-wise, you just take them all off after you've calibrated the ESC, and just start putting one on at a time to find out which one it is. Easy way to do it. So So we'll try it again. Okay, this says motor number 3. And the rotation is clockwise, so we're in good shape. So we're going to, there we go. Next. So this will be motor number 4. Again, front, back. So this will be the back, left. Wow, that's pretty good. You know, meaning only one of the rotations are wrong. This one's correct too. So this is counterclockwise. Counterclockwise. And it is indeed motor number 4. They're matching. So let me go ahead and move it up. Okay, counterclockwise. Okay, we're in good shape. We checked them all. Again, if you're not sure about one of them, or you want to go back and recheck it or whatever, you just move back on it and, you know, do it again. Next. There's some frames that are pre-tuned. Anyway, we picked the generic QuadLugs. Do next. We're going to do save. Okay. Now it's ready for the transmitter setup. So we're going to go ahead. Before we do that, I'm going to go to System. And this is where we're going to bind the satellite, the Spectrum satellite. So if you're using a standard receiver, whether you're using PPM or, you know, individual channel wiring, you know, PWM or PPM, go ahead and bind it, you know, per your transmitter recommendations. So you're going to, you know, go ahead and bind your receiver to your transmitter just as normal. Whenever we use the Spectrum satellite receiver, this is how we do it. Or this is how it has to be done. So we're going to go here. And we're going to here. And I'm going to go ahead and unplug the quad. And I'll show you why we did this in a minute. We're going to set this on 5. And we're going to go here and save. Okay. Okay, we have our USB disconnected. We're going to leave it disconnected. And what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and plug the battery in, because what we did just here, we set this to the binding mode. So now we're getting a quick flashing on our satellite receiver. So we're going to go ahead and bind the transmitter as normal. Okay, it's bound. So now you have a steady light on your satellite. We'll go ahead and unplug the battery. Now we'll plug in the USB. Okay, we'll go back here, take it out of the binding mode by going the wrong way, by going to 0. Okay, we're going to save that again. Okay, now the reason we did this, or used 5, and let's go ahead and go to that. If you go here to hardware, and this is where we're plugging in to this port. If you count this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's the reason we use that number 5. Okay? And then after we're bound, we go back and set it to 0 just like we just did. But that's the reason we're using that number. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So we're in good shape. Now, we're going to go here and we're going to start the transmitter wizard. Okay. You're going to read that and go to next. And let's go ahead and turn the transmitter on and plug in the battery. And we're getting a solid light on the satellite receiver, so we're bound and we're in good shape. And just read this. This is what you want. Go to next, and we're mode 2 here. Yes, the throttle and rudder on the left-hand side. Of course, if it's not that, choose whichever one you're using. Okay. Now it wants us to move the stick. So we're going to move on the transmitter, we're going to move the throttle. Okay. We're going to move the aileron. Okay. The pitch or the elevator. Okay. And we're going to move the rudder. Okay. And then we want to move our 3-position switch. So let's set up one more switch, and I'm going to go over to the gear switch. Okay. Now this one, and you just move it enough to, it'll acknowledge that it's done. And then here we're going to skip. I don't need any others. Okay, now let's put these sticks just like it shows in the picture now. The throttle is going to be in the middle. We're going to center them all up. And we're going to push all of our switches forward away from you. Okay? And we're going to hit next. Now it wants us to go all the way to the furthest point on each one. So you'll see, this is what I'm doing now. The left gimbal, and you'll see it. And I'll do it 4 or 5 times. Okay. Now we're going to go to the right sticks, our right stick. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going furthest corner, furthest corner, furthest corner, furthest corner. And if it's not going in the same direction that you're going, don't worry about it right now. We're going to solve that. Just go to the furthest corner of all of them. Okay? Then we'll move your 3-position switch, and you'll see it moving. And then the other switch that we picked, whichever one it is. Okay? We're in good shape. We're going to go to next. Now let's go ahead. Throttle is correct. Rudder is opposite. I'm moving it to the left. It's going to the right. So let's go ahead and switch it, reverse it there. So now it's working right. I'm going to the right, going to the left. Good shape. Aileron, I'm going to the left. It's wrong. Pitch, I'm going back. It's going wrong. So both of them need to be changed. Aileron, left, left. Aileron, right, right. So it's matching the transmitter. Pulling back on the pitch or the elevator, and it's correct. It's correct. It's matching. Okay. So here it just wants you to double check it, because if any of these are reversed and you left them reversed, you didn't correct it, it's going to crash. So just double checking everything. Good, good, good. 3-position switch. Good. And my other switch. I'm good. Take your time on this, because if you get this wrong, it's going to crash. And you won't really probably have any time to correct it. It's done. It'll flip over on you. or worse. Okay, here we're going to set your arm and disarm. You're not going to know unless you install a buzzer, and we have a video out on how and what type of buzzer and how to put it on, install it. Really simple to do. We don't have it on this one, but you can go check our video out on that, and it instructs you, it'll show you how to do it. And that way, when you arm, there'll be an audible sound that that you are arming. Without that, whenever it's armed, you won't hear anything. It'll just power up if you give it throttle. So what I normally do, I arm it, and then I'll give it just a little bit of throttle. And by a little bit, I mean, like an eighth of an inch movement, and it's going to start, rotating. And if you go up to half throttle, it's going to take off on you. It's going to do exactly what you want it to do. And with this particular one here, well, actually with all of them, the way we have them set up, you give it half throttle and it's going to go into orbit, So if you're around it, it could cause you some problems. Very, very, very little throttle until you get used to it, and you'll know that it's armed at that time. So what we're going to do, and this is pretty standard, we're going to pick yaw right. So in other words, you're going to bring your throttle stick all the way to the bottom and your rudder all the way to the right. So that's how you're going to arm it. When you disarm it, you go all the way down and to the left with your throttle and rudder. So I'll show you that being done after this is done. So we're going to go ahead and pick that, and we're going to save. You have to save this. Okay, we're done with that. So let's go to flight mode. You need to move your 3-position switch. You can see it moving here. So that's good. Now there's a little bit of hesitation between the transmitter and this. You're not in the program here. You're not going to have that hesitation in real life. It's going to be reactive right then. So it's just the way it works with the program here. So don't let that bother you. Make sure you give it enough time to move, or you'll be going, what the heck? Okay. So what we're doing here, this is going to give us stabilization 1, bank 1. So in stabilization 2, stabilization 3. What that means is here, stabilize 1, 2, and 3. So when you're here, it's going to pick this range. When you're here, because you have it set on 2, it's going to pick this range. When you're on 3, it's going to pick this range. Now this has stabilization for you and axis lock, and there's places you can go and check all of the different modes that you can review with it, or that it's capable of doing rather. We're going to leave this like this. This is stabilization rate. The yaw is just going to be a little. You're going to have to do a little bit more with it on the rudder to keep up with it. So no big deal. Now this is rate. Unless you're an experienced flyer, don't go here. What you can do for right now, we're going to go to Ratitude, and you need to read up on it. If you're new at it, what I would definitely do is keep it here, or if you think you may flip it all the way into another stabilization here, another mode that you wouldn't want to be in. If you're just learning, I would go ahead and set all 3 of them to be the same, like that. Nobody can make a mistake. But I'm going to leave it there for right now. And there's some real good sites, and Painless 360 is the name of the site that I really highly recommend, and they've already done an extremely good job. If you'll go into their playlist and pick CC3D, they'll walk you completely through it. It's great. Spend some time with these guys, and they'll do a better job than what I would do with it, and it's already done. So, or they've already went through all the trouble. So visit these guys. and that's Painless 360. Painless 360, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it in, down below. Check these guys out. Go look them up, and they walk through this thing really good. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do with this. Again, save. This right here is going to show you the different inputs. If you move the throttle, you'll see it moving. Again, there's a lag here. Definitely not a lag when you're flying it. This is just the way it works with the program. But, if you just want to see what it's doing here, it's another way to just double check. And I'm moving these sticks here for you. Okay. And then our switch here, you can see it moving here. And it's going to move there. And it's going to move there. That's your 3 position switch. And then this is the other switch that I had set up. And I may want to do something with it later on. You didn't have to set that one up, but it's in reserve. Okay, so we're going to go to outputs here. Really don't have to do anything with it. This is just touching what this controller can do. And obviously we're not doing very much with it, but it flies very well like it is. And you're going to see it. We'll have some flights with it. Normally the controller, the controller will have an arrow on it, and it's supposed to be, pointing forward. And what we did, so I could have the motor connections on the front. So I went ahead and turned the controller 180 degrees. So here we want to tell it that it's turned 180. And we can double check that to make sure that it's working fine here in a minute. So that's what we do. We'll hit save. The rest of this we're not going to worry about right now. Again, this is a lot of things you can mess with here, and do some fine tuning on it. We're just barely touching it, but that will come. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to flight data. And this is our quad. And you'll see the horizon there. Now, I'm facing it down, so the front down. Okay, and that's correct. We're lifting the front up. That's correct. We're turning it left. We're banking it left. Now we're banking it right. All that's correct. We're going to yaw to the left. That's correct. We're going to yaw to the right. That's correct. Now what I want to do, being that I changed the controller to 180 degrees, if you were, we're going to go ahead and recalibrate this. But if you were moving the quad around, like right now, if you're facing it down, and it was actually moving up. So if you were facing down and it was actually going this way, then you might have forgotten to rotate that controller. So you're going to see signs of, something's not proper way before you fly it if this is not, coordinated the way you're moving it. So let's go ahead and make sure this is level. Again, I'm going to hold it level, and we're going to go here, and this is where we changed, and that's correct. So, but we're going to go ahead and recalibrate this thing, or re-level it. So I'm holding it level. We're going to go ahead and do this. Okay, and we'll save it. Okay, let's go back to flight data and see what it did. Dead on it now. That's what we want. So I'm going to face it down, and it's showing going down. I'm facing the front up, and it's showing it's going up. I'm rolling it to the left, it's rolling to the left. I'm rolling to the right, it's rolling to the right. I'm yawing it to the left, and this is where I'm looking right here. Okay, then I'm going to yaw to the right, and it's yawing to the right. We're in good shape. I have so much stuff on my desk, I'm running into stuff. Okay, so we're good to go. I'm really happy with this. Okay. So we should be in good shape. We're getting this here. Let me go ahead and we're going to reboot this thing. So let's just make sure everything's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to unplug the battery. Okay, we're going to turn the transmitter off. We're going to unplug the USB. We're going to plug the USB back in. Everything's connecting back. And it's showing everything okay here. And if you'll notice, this went away. The master alarm has went, or caution has gone away. So we're in good shape. If you had any red lights up here or lit up red, you'd know you had a problem. So all it wanted was to reboot it, and that's exactly what we did. And we're still in good shape. I'm moving to the, rolling to the right, rolling to the left, front down, front up, right or left yaw, right yaw. We're in good shape. Okay, so we're done. We're ready to go flying. So let me go ahead and disconnect this. Okay, this is one thing that's very, very important, and that's your fail-safe. So you always want to make sure and check that. We're going to go ahead and turn our transmitter on. And you'll have to, you know, if you're dealing with a Spectrum, normally fail-safe is really easy. If you're using a satellite like I am here, if you lose signal, it's just going to, you know, shut everything down. But if you're using a different radio, even if you're using a Spectrum, you want to make sure. But if you're using a different radio and receiver, then you want to make sure that the, you know, fail-safe is operable. So check your manual, see how it's done on your particular radio and receiver, or transmitter and receiver. And if you would, just make sure that, you know, fail-safe does work on it. So we turn the radio on. We're going to go ahead and plug it in. Okay. We're going to go ahead and arm it. And we have running. We're going to turn the transmitter off, and you'll see fail-safe works. We're going to turn it back on. Try it again. Turn the radio off, and that's simulating, you know, that you know, communication has quit. Okay, just make sure fail-safe is working.